This Will Destroy You, often abbreviated to TWDY, is an American post-rock band from San Marcos, Texas, formed in 2004. They typically compose lengthy atmospheric instrumental pieces, featuring layers of effects-laden guitar and a heavy usage of dynamics. Their latest album, Another Language, was released in September 2014, and entered the Billboard Heatseekers Album Chart at number 7. History. Formation. 2002 to 2005. This Will Destroy You was formed by guitarists Jeremy Galindo and Chris King, bassist Raymond Brown and drummer Andrew Miller in San Marcos, Texas. In 2005, they had met through mutual friends, and played together in various different bands throughout high school before the lineup was finalized by around 2002. Early iterations of the band featured Galindo on vocals and sounded like Radiohead. But after recording some tracks they decided the results were awful, and didn't fit in with the rest of their music. After composing their next song, The World Is Our _____, the band decided to write instrumental music instead. Chris King said in an interview with BBC Radio Foil, "We were writing different kinds of songs and we wrote one instrumental song, and we were like, that works. Let's go for it." Quote, the band's name originated from a song that was to be called This Will Destroy You, but this was rejected for being too pretentious. The band found it hilarious. When asked whether he wished the band had chosen a different name, King said to Rock Sound, "It's supposed to be a little bit obnoxious. There's something about people automatically hating you before you play that's kind of endearing. It gets to the point where it's over the top obnoxious. It's an attention grabber and people will check it out, I guess, even if they hate it." Quote, Young Mountain. 2004 to 2006. This Will Destroy You self-recorded and self-produced their first EP, Young Mountain, in 2005. They intended it to be just a demo, and sold it as a CDR after their concerts. The release was reviewed by a number of critics and was generally praised. The band was contacted by Magic Bullet Records owner Brent Eystone over the internet, and he asked them to contribute a track to his label's It Came From the Hills Volume 1 compilation. The band sent Eystone a copy of their demo to thank him, after which he invited them to tour with Sparrow Swarm and sing This Will Destroy You. Then began to work with Magic Bullet on the basis of a verbal agreement. In keeping with the label's DIY attitude, no written contract was ever signed. In June 2006, Magic Bullet repackaged and re-released Young Mountain. The band began to gather mentions in more publications, including Pitchfork Media and Rolling Stone. As Sputnik Music Review said, TWDY's sound is near perfect. Production-wise, everything is right where it should be. Tone-wise, it doesn't get much better. The quiet parts are tear-jerking. The loud parts, while equally tear-jerking, are brutal. The EP came in for particular praise from Rock Sound, who called it an astonishingly beautiful work that promises a bright future. Editor Darren Taylor named it as the best release of 2006. This Will Destroy You, 2006 to 2008. The writing process for This Will Destroy You, the band's eponymous debut studio album, was initially a slow and fragmented one. The band members were all living in different cities within Texas, due to work and school commitments, and could only meet irregularly. Chris King said to Rock Sound, quote, "Writing was a struggle. When we did meet up, sometimes the ideas would come flowing, but at others would just stand there for the whole time staring at each other." In February 2007, the band began recording with producer John Congleton at a studio in Texas owned by the country music singer Willie Nelson, a process that took several months. The band was booked to tour the United States during July and August, along with 65 Days Off Static Fear before the March of Flames and Hot Cross. However, after one of their concerts, guitarist Jeremy Galindo fell ill. He was later diagnosed in hospital as suffering from Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel condition. This led to the band having to cancel all their remaining summer tour dates. Combined with financial problems, this caused the band to go on a 3-month hiatus, a time where the future of the band was uncertain. This Will Destroy You was released by Magic Bullet in January 2008. It was generally positively received. Rock Sound compared it to the soundtrack to the impending apocalypse, and awarded it the 5th Best Album of the Year, while Drowned in Sound called it a true classic of its kind. Shortly after the release of the album, the band parted company with bass guitar player Raymond Brown, who left in order to focus on his medical career. The band auditioned a number of bassists before permanently recruiting Donovan Jones. In March 2008, the band toured Europe for the first time, playing at the Bev Riding Spop, Out of the Crowd and RHAAA Lovely festivals. The tour lasted for 6 weeks and included performances with Boris and Devil Sold His Soul. The song, The Mighty Rio Grande, from the band's self-titled release was featured in the trailer for the Brad Pitt 2011 film Moneyball, in the 2014 film Earth to Echo, and in the 2015 film Room. Field Studies. 2008-2009. The foundations for what would become the Field Studies EP were formed in late 2007. This Will Destroy You and LYMBYC System were touring the United States together and decided to collaborate on a split record. The members of both bands were good friends and had further plans to tour again together in the future. They came together at John Congleton's Texas studio in July 2008 to record their contributions. This Will Destroy You, tracking 2 longer pieces to LYMBYC System's 3 shorter songs. In September, LYMBYC System released Love Your Abuser Remixed, a remix album of their previous record Love Your Abuser. It featured a This Will Destroy You version of the title track, the band's first official remix. Field Studies was released in January 2009 on Magic Bullet and received a generally positive critical reception, but was criticized for being nothing groundbreaking. Rock Sound's Joe Marshall echoed similar sentiments by saying, "Of course, neither track is especially original and it's fairly easy to predict the trajectories they take. But ultimately this is seriously beautiful music." Quote, the band then set out on a series of tours, including an appearance at the ATP Festival in April, playing alongside bands such as Devo and the Jesus Lizard. In July they played on the main stage at Rockherk Festival. In October of the same year the band performed at Damnation Festival, where they shared a stage with Jesu. In November the band parted company with Andrew Miller. Due to musical differences between the members, they replaced him with Alex Bohr, their tour manager and former drummer for the New Frontiers. Moving on the Edges of Things and Tunnel Blanket. 2009 to 2014. The band began working on their second studio album, to be called Tunnel Blanket, in late 2009. On April 1, the band posted a message on their Tumblr announcing that they had split. This was followed by a press release from the label, explaining the decision as being due to uncertainty placed upon them by the behaviors and disappearances of other members. After it emerged that the whole incident was an April Fool's Day prank carried out by drummer Alex Bohr and Magic Bullet Records owner Brent Eystone. Daniel Hopkins from the Dallas Observer named it as one of the funniest April Fool's Day pranks in the local music scene. Quote, in May 2010 the band released an exclusive track titled The Celebrations as part of Peace, a compilation in aid of Amnesty International. After a request from the charity, the band subsequently released a 2-song 12 inches EP titled Moving on the Edges of Things in August 2010, before embarking on a September US tour, supporting the metal group Deftones. This was followed by a September and October European tour, including a performance at the Incubate Festival. A 7 inches single, Communal Blood, was released in December of the same year. This was the band's first single and featured 2 tracks from Tunnel Blanket. This has been recorded and mixed by John Congleton, and is set for release in Europe on May 9, 2011 on Monotream Records, and on May 10 on Suicide Squeeze Records for the rest of the world with exception of Australia, New Zealand, as released by Hobbled Hoy Record Co. The band is set to tour Europe in June and July to promote the record, which will include an appearance at TWDY Festival in Belgium. In March 2013, This Will Destroy You performed their first ever Australian tour, supported by Perth act Tangled Thoughts of Leaving. In October 2013, the band released a live album, titled Live in Reykjavik, Iceland. During their performance at the Crescent Ballroom in Phoenix, Arizona on March 12, 2014, the group stated that they would release an album by the end of the year. Another Language, 2014 present. On June 23, 2014, Suicide Squeeze announced This Will Destroy You's third studio album, Another Language, which was released September 16, 2014. The single from the album, Dustism, was released on their blog on June 25. The band toured Australia, New Zealand and Asia in May to June 2015. They subsequently announced that they will be going on tour with Deaf Heaven and Emma Ruth Rundle in early 2017. Musical style and influences. The band's compositions typically feature a wide dynamic range, with slow build-ups to a wall of noise crescendo. The guitars are usually the most prominent feature of the band's sound, combining ambient soundscapes with simple melodies, and using a number of effects, such as reverb, sustain and distortion. Many reviews categorized the band's early releases as post-rock, and compared them to other bands of the genre, most notably fellow Texas instrumental group Explosions in the Sky, although the band members largely reject this description, with Donovan Jones saying, "Fuck post-rock," and "fuck being called post-rock." In an interview with the Dallas Observer, Jeremy Galindo said, "It can be aggravating. I think after this new album comes out, a lot of that is gonna stop. Because this next album is definitely gonna be sounding more like the stuff that we'd listen to." The band described their new sound as being darker and heavier, referring to it as doomgaze, a portmanteau of doom metal and shoegaze. Other projects. Chris King is a member of the Austin-based ambient band Amarthagana, who have yet to release an album. They are signed to Light Lodge Records, a label run by King. He also writes ambient electronica music under the moniker Mosh Patrol, under which he has released a split record with Okra, titled Is There Anyone Else Outside? He currently makes solo music under symbol Jeremy Galindo, along with Magic Bullet Records. Brent Eystone runs an independent film studio called We Tried Film. Their first production is set for release in summer 2012. Band members. Discography. Studio albums. This Will Destroy You, 2008. Tunnel Blanket, 2011. Another Language, 2014. Live albums. Live in Reykjavik, Iceland, 2013. EPs. Young Mountain, 2006. Field Studies. Split with LYMBYC System, 2009. Moving on the Edges of Things, 2010. Singles. Communal Blood, 2010. Dustism, 2014. Invitation, 2014. Compilations and remixes. The world is our underscore 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 on It Came From The Hills Volume 1, 2006. Threads, on Vice Saves Texas, 2008. I Believe in Your Victory, on Prom Night Original Motion Picture Soundtrack, 2008. Love Your Abuser, This Will Destroy You Remix, on Love Your Abuser Remixed, 2009. Untitled, on WV Nugma, 2010. Their Celebrations, on Peace, 2010. The Mighty Rio Grande, on Moneyball Original Motion Picture Soundtrack, 2011. Villa del Refugio, on World War Z, 2013. Paper Cuts, originally by Nirvana, tribute album Doused in Mud, Soaked in Bleach, 2016. Robotic Empire. Notes. Sources. Macaulay, Stephen. This Will Destroy You. April 24, 2008. Electric Mainline. This Will Destroy You. Ram. Podcast. Dublin. BBC Radio Foil. Retrieved May 3, 2011. Texas D. This Will Destroy You. Shevrachi de Prahi. Texans. This Will Destroy You. Return to Prague. Radio Wave. In Czech. Český rozhlas. July 14, 2009. Archive from the original podcast. On April 13, 2011. Pastorek. Whitney. Galindo. Jeremy. King. Chris. May 21, 2009. This Will Destroy You. Studio SX 2009 interview. Video. Austin, Texas. Studio SX. Retrieved May 3, 2011. This Will Destroy You interview. Current TV. Current Media. June 27, 2010. Archived from the original on April 13, 2011. This Will Destroy You. This Will Destroy You at Tumblr.